Thank you for volunteering and for your willingness to use the Health Passport. We are asking you to watch this short video and to complete the quiz to make sure you are prepared and feel comfortable, and to ensure the event runs as efficiently as possible. The training video also assures that federal regulations are followed and that the data captured is of the highest quality and useful to screeners and community leaders. Health fairs are commonly used to promote health screenings in the community. However, most do not coherently measure their attendees' health needs or meaningfully evaluate their event's success. Utilization of a health passport is a unique way of capturing data from event attendees that can be used to provide a fast and accurate picture of each individual community's health and allows community leaders and health providers to target the individual community for specific needs. There are three major objectives to using the health passport. The first is to evaluate the success of the fair and to assess the health of the community. The second is to identify both future screenings and education priorities, as well as appropriate targets for community-based programming and interventions. The third is to support needed policy changes, and finally to grow a diverse community engaged workforce by partnering. There are 4 types of volunteers that are needed the day of the festival or fair. The first are screeners. Screeners are students, faculty, and professionals with clinical skills that will provide the health screenings. The second are educators. Educators are students, faculty, and professionals who have knowledge or are willing to quickly learn. They are needed to distribute health promotion and educational materials. The third are consenters. Consent volunteers will support registration of the attendees and will obtain both clinical consents to screen and research consents from caregivers. Training is required prior to the event. The fourth type of volunteer are passport volunteers. Passport volunteers will work alongside with the screeners at the different booths. They will administer the passport. They will use a tablet device to ask the survey questions and capture attendees' responses. No matter which of the 4 volunteer roles you may be assigned, it is important that all volunteers understand the general process of the event. The process is split up into 3 groups. The first is the consenting process. This is where the attendee begins and consents to having screenings done at the event. The second part is the screening process, where the attendees go to the different booths, answers the questions, and have the screenings done. The last part is the finish line. There, the attendees show their report card, have their passports checked, and receive their incentive. After the event, the data collected is de-identified and distributed to different stakeholders. The first part is the consenting process. Consenters will ask the attendee to sign a clinical consent form, giving consent to treat. If the attendee is a child or less than 18 years of age, a legal guardian must be present to give consent. The attendee will then be given a wristband that has a QR code and a corresponding identification number on it. Attendees will be given a green wristband if they have provided clinical consent. If they do not have clinical consent, they will be given a red wristband. We also ask for consent to photograph. If there is a yellow sticker on their wristband, attendees have not given us consent to photograph. The attendee will also be given a report card that they will carry to each of the screening booths to help them keep track of the booths that they have been to. The next part is the screening process. The attendee will now be able to go to the different booths. When the attendee goes to a booth, the passport volunteer will first ask questions using the electronic passport or e-passport. After the questions have been asked, the screener will now conduct the screenings on the attendee. After the screenings are complete, the volunteer will mark the attendee's report card. After the attendee has been to all of the booths, they will then go to the finish line. At the finish line, a volunteer will check to make sure the attendee went to all of the stations. The attendee then will receive incentives for finishing. The health passport data is then checked for quality and reports will be developed. Health partners will receive the names of referred attendees. When an attendee first comes to your booth, you will greet them. You will then use the e-passport to ask the attendees questions. When you ask these questions, make sure you use complete sentences. For instance, if the e-passport states smokes with a question mark, instead say, do you smoke? Now that you know the basic process of using the health passport, here is some more specific information. The passport volunteer will be working alongside you, asking the questions to the attendees. You can then do the screenings on the attendees. We do encourage screeners and educators to bring brochures and educational materials to provide to the attendees. Please keep in mind the different cultures and health literacy levels of the attendees. If you are a screener that has a referral, this will be marked on the electronic passport. You will also mark this on the attendee's report card. Place a check mark next to your booth icon on that report card. All attendees referred must receive information on how or with whom to follow up with. Please make sure to provide contact information to the attendee. You will also need to use the e-passport. You will be filling out the start portion on the passport. In order to record the responses for the passport, we will use a tablet device. If you have a tablet or a smartphone, you can use your own device. However, you will need to download a QR code reader. Here is how the e-passport works. You will first log into your tablet. Once you're in the tablet, open the NeoReader app or the other QR code reader that you installed. Then hold the tablet in landscape position and scan the QR code that is located on the participant's wristband. Then click Open in Browser. This will direct you to the internet. If your particular booth did not pop up, click Survey Queue in the upper right-hand corner of your screen and find the booth and press Begin Survey. For example, if you're at the I booth, find the word I and press Begin Survey. You will then ask the questions on the list to each of the attendee. Make sure you use complete sentences when asking the questions. Some questions on the e-passport may be listed as fragments, so please make sure that they are complete sentences so the attendee knows exactly what you are asking. Once you have asked all the questions to the attendee and have completed the survey, click Submit at the bottom of the screen. Once the survey is submitted, close the tab by pressing X at the top of the screen. Then press the back arrow located on the bottom of the screen twice to get back to the main menu. Reopen the NeoReader app or the other QR code reader that you have used and repeat steps 3 through 9. If you are using your own device, some steps may be slightly different, especially if you are using an Apple product. It is important to know on the day of the event who you will be working with. Many of the attendees are under-resourced. The under-resourced are people who have insufficient resources. These can include healthy food, transportation, and money. It is vital that these people are not referred to as poor. Poor can be considered a derogatory word. Overall, this data will allow us to see a live snapshot of the health of the community. As a volunteer, you make collecting this data possible. Thank you for watching this training video. Please remember to complete the training quiz. The link is found below. After the quiz, you will receive additional information about the event. Thank you.